Imagine this. You're 72 years old. You've been waiting months to visit your daughter in California. You've packed your bags. You've kissed your spouse goodbye. You arrive at the airport 3 hours early because you want everything to go smoothly. You get to the TSA checkpoint and suddenly the officer asks you a question you weren't expecting. Do you have your TSA PreCheck? You shake your head. No, I don't. And just like that, you're pulled aside. Your boarding pass gets a big red stamp. Secondary screening, extra questions, missed connection, ruined trip. All because you didn't know about a $45 program that could have saved you from this nightmare. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now at airports across America. And if you're over 65, if you're traveling soon, or if you have elderly parents on a visa or green card, you need to hear this today. Because what looks like a simple airport convenience program is actually becoming a silent trap for seniors, immigrants, and anyone who doesn't understand how TSA is changing the rules. Here's what nobody is telling you. TSA PreCheck used to be optional, a nice to have, a little luxury for frequent flyers. But in the last 18 months, something shifted. Airports are now funneling more and more passengers into the PreCheck lanes. The regular security lines, they're getting longer, slower, more unpredictable. And if you're a senior, if you have a medical device, if you need a little extra time, you're now stuck in a system that wasn't built for you. You become the bottleneck. You become the person holding up the line. And TSA agents, they're not always patient. They're not always kind. And they definitely don't care if you miss your flight. But here's the part that makes my blood boil. Seniors are being told that TSA PreCheck is just about speed, just about skipping the line. Nobody is explaining the real reason you need it. Nobody is talking about what happens when you don't have it. And nobody is warning immigrants, visa holders, and green card holders that this little $45 decision could actually put your status at risk. Let me explain. If you're on a visa or a green card, your travel history matters. USCIS tracks where you go, when you leave, when you come back. And if something goes wrong at the airport, if you get flagged, if you get pulled into secondary screening, that creates a record. A red flag, a question mark next to your name. And the next time you apply for a renewal, the next time you go for your citizenship interview, that question mark comes back. Why were you detained at the airport on March 10th, 2025? Now you're scrambling to explain. Now you're hiring a lawyer. Now a simple trip to visit family has turned into a legal nightmare. This is not exaggeration. I've seen it happen. I've had clients who were delayed at TSA, questioned about items in their bag, flagged for random screening, and then months later, they get an RFE, a request for evidence, asking them to explain why they were stopped. It didn't matter that they did nothing wrong. It didn't matter that they were innocent. The system flagged them, and once you're flagged, you're in the system. So what is TSA PreCheck, really? It's a program run by the Transportation Security Administration. You pay $45. You go to an enrollment center. They take your fingerprints. They run a background check. And if you're approved, you get a known traveler number. That number goes on every boarding pass you print. And when you go through security, you use a special lane. You keep your shoes on. You keep your belt on. You leave your laptop in your bag. You move faster. You get less scrutiny. You avoid the chaos. Sounds simple, right? But here's what they don't tell you during the enrollment process. TSA PreCheck isn't just about convenience anymore. It's about trust. It's about proving to the US government that you are a low-risk traveler. And if you don't have it, if you're always going through the regular line, you're statistically more likely to get stopped, more likely to get searched, more likely to have your bags checked, because the system assumes that anyone who didn't bother to get PreCheck might be hiding something. Now I know what you're thinking. Joe, I'm a law-abiding person. I have nothing to hide. Why should I worry? And I get it. But the system doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about patterns. It cares about data. And right now, the data says that seniors without PreCheck are causing delays. They're triggering more manual checks. They're slowing down the system. So TSA is cracking down. They're being less forgiving. They're being more aggressive. And if you're not prepared, you're going to be the one who suffers. Let me give you a real example. A few months ago, a client of mine, let's call her Maria, was traveling from Texas to New York. She's 70 years old. She's on a green card. She's lived in the US for 15 years. Never had a problem. She gets to the airport, goes through the regular TSA line, and the officer sees something unusual on the scanner. It's her knee replacement, a metal implant. Completely normal, completely legal. But because she's in the regular line, because she doesn't have PreCheck, the officer doesn't just wave her through. He calls for a supervisor. They take her to a private room. They do a full pat-down. They search her carry-on. They ask her questions. Where are you going? Why are you going? Who are you meeting? Maria is terrified. She's never been treated like this. She's done nothing wrong. But now, there's a record, a report, a file with her name on it. 3 months later, Maria applies to renew her green card. And guess what shows up? A note from TSA. A flag in the system. Now USCIS wants to know why she was detained, why she was searched. Maria has to write a letter. She has to explain. She has to prove she did nothing wrong. All because she didn't have a $45 TSA PreCheck membership. This is the reality nobody talks about. This is the trap that's catching people every single day. And it's not just Maria. It's thousands of seniors, thousands of immigrants, thousands of people who think they're doing everything right, but they're missing this one critical step. Now let's talk about what social media is getting wrong. I see videos every day saying TSA PreCheck is a scam, that it's just the government trying to make money, that you don't need it if you're not a frequent traveler. And I'm here to tell you, that advice is dangerous. That advice is putting people at risk. Because TSA PreCheck isn't about how often you fly. It's about how smoothly you fly. It's about avoiding problems before they start. And if you're on a visa, if you're on a green card, if you're waiting for citizenship, you cannot afford to have problems at the airport. Some people say, but Joe, I'm only traveling once a year. Why should I pay $45? Here's why. Because that one trip could be the trip that ruins everything. That one trip could be the trip where you get stopped, where you get questioned, where you get flagged, and once you're flagged, it doesn't matter that you only fly once a year. It doesn't matter that you're a good person. The system doesn't forget, the system doesn't forgive, and the system doesn't care about your excuses. Other people say, I'm too old to deal with technology. I don't know how to enroll. And I understand. The process can be confusing. But here's the truth. If you can use a smartphone, if you can send an email, you can enroll in TSA PreCheck. The application is online. It takes 10 minutes. You schedule an appointment at an enrollment center. You bring your passport or your green card. You bring proof of address. They take your photo. They take your fingerprints. And within 2 to 3 weeks, you get approved. It's not complicated, it's not expensive, and it could save your immigration status. Now here's the part that really matters. If you're over 65, TSA actually gives you some extra benefits once you have PreCheck. You're less likely to be randomly selected for additional screening. You're less likely to be pulled aside. You're treated with more respect. Because the system knows you've been vetted. The system knows you're low risk, and that makes all the difference. But here's the catch. TSA PreCheck is only available to US citizens, green card holders, and certain visa holders. If you're on a tourist visa, if you're on a temporary work visa, you might not qualify. So you need to check your eligibility before you apply. Go to the official TSA website, look up the requirements, make sure you're eligible. And if you are, don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Don't assume you'll be fine without it, because the longer you wait, the more risk you're taking. Let me also clear up another myth. Some people think that global entry is the same as TSA PreCheck. It's not. Global entry is a program for international travelers. It includes TSA PreCheck, but it also includes expedited customs screening when you come back into the US. It costs $100 instead of $45. And if you travel internationally even once or twice a year, global entry is worth every penny, because it not only speeds up your airport security, it speeds up your re-entry into the country. And for immigrants, for visa holders, for anyone who's worried about being questioned at the border, global entry is a game changer. So here's what you need to do right now. First, check your eligibility. Go to the TSA PreCheck website or the Global Entry website. Make sure you qualify. Second, gather your documents. You'll need your passport or green card, proof of address, and a valid email. Third, fill out the online application. It takes 10 minutes, maybe 15 if you're being extra careful. Fourth, pay the fee. $45 for TSA PreCheck, $100 for global entry. You can pay with a credit card. Fifth, schedule your appointment. Find an enrollment center near you. Most major cities have them. Some airports have them. Go at a time that works for you. Sixth, show up to your appointment. Bring your documents. Be on time. Be polite. Answer the questions honestly. And finally, wait for approval. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes faster, sometimes a little longer. But once you're approved, you're good for 5 years. 5 years of faster security, 5 years of less stress, 5 years of protecting your immigration status, all for $45. That's less than $10 a year. That's less than the cost of a fancy coffee each year. And it could be the difference between a smooth trip and a nightmare that follows you for the rest of your life. Now, I know some of you are still skeptical. I know some of you are thinking, Joe, I've been flying for 30 years without PreCheck. I've never had a problem. And maybe that's true. Maybe you've been lucky. But the rules are changing. The system is changing. And what worked 5 years ago, what worked even 2 years ago, might not work today. TSA is under pressure to move people faster. They're under pressure to catch threats. And if you're not in the Trusted Traveler program, you're automatically in the higher risk category. That's just how the system works now. And if you're a senior, if you have mobility issues, if you have medical devices, if you need a little extra time, you need every advantage you can get. You need to stack the deck in your favor. And TSA PreCheck is the easiest, cheapest, most effective way to do that. One more thing, if you have elderly parents, if you have grandparents who are planning to travel, talk to them about this. Help them enroll. Go with them to the appointment if you need to. Make sure they understand why this matters, because I guarantee you they're not seeing videos like this. They're not reading articles about TSA policy changes. They're relying on outdated information. They're relying on advice from friends who don't understand the system. And they're putting themselves at risk without even knowing it. So here's my final message. Don't wait until you're at the airport. Don't wait until you're in line. Don't wait until you're being pulled aside for secondary screening. Take action today. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Protect your future in this country. Because $45 is a small price to pay for peace of mind. And it's a tiny investment compared to the cost of a missed flight, a ruined trip, or an immigration problem that could take years. I'm Joe from US Visa Path, and I'm here to keep your American dream safe. If this video helped you, if you learned something new, if you want to make sure you never miss an update that could affect your visa or green card, hit that subscribe button right now. Because every week I'm breaking down the immigration news that matters, the policy changes that nobody else is talking about, and the mistakes that could cost you everything. Don't leave your future to chance. Stay informed, stay protected, and I'll see you in the next video.